Mm. Mm. Hello, Dr. Shantanu, you there? Oh, hi, Dr. Shantanu, you there? Your mic is muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. So, Andy, how are you?
Doing
Happy New
good.
Year.
Yep. Happy New Year. In fact, I personally find New Year is very interesting here in Houston. It's like completely deserted here.
How's so currently where are you located now?
Yep, we're so I want to thank you, Dr. Shantanu, and everybody here for joining us for a decoding Jyotish webinar, where we're going to be going deeper into like why is Jyotish in BAMS and is important, and how we're going to take the trajectory of education in Ayurveda. So I guess maybe should we start with a prayer, or should we just dive right into our webinar today?
I think we should directly move because already we have made things. So, like now we just want to utilize the time so that we can go through the more deeper concepts.
Okay, so let's all right. So one of the things that caught my attention in our previous webinar is that although we actually learned that the audience has a couple of things. Number one, there's a solid search for solutions, and that there's a need for new directions, especially with the BAMS system, where they basically like I got a total of 7 engagements. Four of them were thumbs up, as in they like it, but three of them gives a dislike. But then what's really interesting is it gives us 1,300 views, and I was completely in shock. I was like, normally every our short videos they don't get that many views, but somehow the moment when we bring up the problem with BAMS is almost like a massive explosion. So what I'm thinking about is like we need to go deeper into like what are some of the pitfalls of not learning Jyotish in BAMS schools. What's wrong with the current system, and how we could make a real world application into the the new way of doing medicine. So,
Sorry.
so the first thing that I wanted to get down to is like we're going into the current state of need of geotish and BAMS. So, from your perspective, what are the most important, most significant limitations or pitfalls in the current BAMS curriculum that you find regarding holistic health, and why is it concerning regarding the absence of geotish?
So, Andy, if you talk about the Indian perspective, here in India, we have the BMS degree. As per the government norms, the regulations, there is no incorporation of Jyotish because of the colonial rule. During that phase, what happened actually, they hampered the education system, the Indian education system. So that causes the limitation of studying the Jyotish into BMS things or maybe the Ayurvedic things. And that was the main reason. Because of that, now you will see the two different entities, the Jyotish and the Ayurveda as a separate thing. But I guess because of the colonial rule and the hampering of the Indian education system, that causes the difference of the Ayurveda and the Jyotish. And if you talk about the today's era, now government is still now we are trying the best to incorporate the Jyotish concept more into the BMS individuals in the form of diplomas, in the form of certificate courses. But still, there is a lack of awareness among the doctors, the Ayurvedic doctors, because they feel that the Jyotish is more philosophical thoughts. It doesn't have the practical utility. But it is not like that. It is not like that. We have so much of a similarity because this both the sciences have originated from the same book, that is the Atharveda. And in order to learn the principles, to know the basics, you have to study the Jyotish as well. And that is the difference now. The BMS doctors, if you talk about India and the Western countries as well, without knowing of the Jyotish, you can't utilize the Ayurvedic aspects more in your individual practices. So that is the limitations what the practitioners, the doctors are facing if you talk about the Ayurvedic contrast.
I see. So basically, you're describing as like a system where the problem is that you're only given a certification. You're given the basic education of what it is, but you don't actually know how to use it like an Ayurvedic tradition. And so if I try to picture this right, it's like basically the education system's supposed to teach you for like just like in Siddha medicine, you're supposed to spend at least 12 years with your guru. You're supposed to grow up learning the system from when, like, usually, I don't know how long, like, how old would you be capable enough in order to learn Ayurveda? But I'm assuming, like, maybe around 8 is when usually a lot of students are old enough to learn this stuff, I believe. Is that what I'm getting here?
Something wrong?
Like I was asking because I've been personally thinking about my asking myself about this wisdom of going back to the old ways. What I want to know is from your perspective, like how do these ancient traditions incorporate or integrate geotish, and what will this air connected science will be used in modern BAMS education? The goal is to like help me recreate what does the gurukullam actually taught in the old ways? How is it different from modern BAMS system?
Okay. So if you talk about, because now we are talking about the ancient era where it was up to the Vedas, the learning of Vedas. Because in Indian tradition system, education system, it was, if you want to be an educated person, you should study the Vedas, and the Vedas were taught by the gurus, or maybe in the ashrams, or Gurukul ashrams. So this were the traditions, and during that phase it was started with the Jyotish concept, that is the Atharveda, then the remaining three Vedas. So this was a system in the Gurukulam where the students were used to come, and the gurus, they were there to deliver the lectures, and they were up to I think 30 to 40 or maybe 20 years for the education system to attain the certain knowledge. And it is not just about the knowledge of the Ayurveda, or it's the knowledge about the Jyotish, but there were other several subjects were also taught in the Gurukul, just to make a person educated, not just a Jyotish, not just an Ayurvedic Ayurvedacharya, but also you should have the knowledge about the mathematics as well. You should know the knowledge about the architect as well. But here we are talking about the Jyotish and the Ayurveda. And if you talk about this modern system here, now, what we did, if you talk about the BMS course, we have also incorporated the allopathy system as well. That is the drawback. If you talk,
Okay. Well, this is what I'm puzzled by. It's like what stuck in my head is when you said that you get lectured by the guru. I was like, okay, because the one problem I have with BAMS system, they usually the one problem I have with them is that I've been through a TCM school here, which is traditional Chinese medicine. The teacher lectures to you, and you're just jotting down notes, and then you're passively learning. Like, how is that different from like a gurukulam where you're actually learning from a guru? Like, what makes it different, like the experience here?
so if you talk about the ancient phase, in the Gurukul, it was more the more practical aspects in the different ways, where the teacher or the guru is teaching you its utility. But if we talk about now the modern BMS courses, here what we are doing, we are just utilizing or maybe we are just studying comparatively the allopathy system as well as the Ayurvedic. So that is the main difference
Oh.
actually. What is happening is like you are making an hybrid model, a hybrid doctor. So that is the difference actually. If you talk about,
So you're technically saying we're creating technicians who can be able to diagnose the problem and give the it's like a one size fit all type of model. When clearly the Gurukulam basically it's what do you call it? This is definitely not a trade school because trade schools, I remember when I go here in the United States, trade schools, they help you troubleshoot the issue. But one problem I had with a lot of trade schools, they usually only taught you according to what the situation at hand is. I was thinking this is a mentorship where you're not just learning about the trade, you're learning about, you're embodying the character, the power of your guru. You're receiving a live transmission. Like this is like an energetic exchange between you and the guru. So that way you become the physician like him.
yes, yes. So if you talk about the Gurukul system in the ancient phase, or now today's also, here the guru is choosing the student as well. To become a student, you have to cross a certain limits, a certain test of the guru. Is
Oh
it not
my.
like you took the admission, you just took the admission, and now you got admission, now you will become a student and paying the fees? It
Oh
is
my
not like that.
God.
The guru will choose the student will choose the guru. So initially the student will approach the guru, I want to be a student, and then the guru will analyze whether this person is having that ability to study that subject or not. So he has to pass in the several tests. So it is not that easy. The Gurukul system is different, not just like so. I guess if you talk about the comparison between the Gurukula and the BMS colleges or the schools, it is if it the gurukuls are much more organic, much more authentic. But if you talk about the colleges, the BMS colleges, it is more up to the hybrid model. You are making a person a half allopathy doctor and a half Ayurvedic doctor. So that is obviously is like a danger sign.
Oh yeah,
An
that's definitely going to
incomplete
be a
the
dangerous side.
Then incomplete knowledge, if you don't have a complete knowledge, you have just mixed the two sciences, and then both the sciences have is not having a similarity. If you talk about Siddha and Ayurveda, it is having a similarity. Now what you're just comparatively are studying the Ayurveda and the allopathy. This is what the BMS course is all about. And the life puzzles between the both the allopathy and Ayurveda. So neither you can learn the Ayurveda properly, neither you can learn the allopathy. So you are in between. So that is the main drawback of the BMS course, and that is why people are suffering in India as well as in other countries, those who are not properly following the Ayurveda. That is the importance of Gurukul. That is why we are approaching the gurus.
Well, here's something that really got my attention, Doctor, is that one thing that I've learned, especially here in the United States, oh my gosh, a lot of like this is even in India, a lot of Indians the more when you get into a BAMS schools, one thing that I noticed, even KUHS, which is Kerala University of Health Science, they require you to pass through a board exam. If you don't pass through a certain score, you're basically not admitted. This is not much different from like the SAT, ACT here in the United States, where you're trying to pass through with a certain score in order to even benchmark yourself to get into Harvard. And the problem is like a lot of Indians, they would say, if you don't get into this particular BAMS school, or if you're not going to Harvard, you're being an embarrassment to the family. Which I was like, I find that very ridiculous. I mean, like, if you want a real BAMS education, go find yourself a gurukullam and try to test to see if you can get your admissions into a gurukullam and get yourself under a teacher. But what I really am puzzled by is like, what is like I know that I had to go through the admissions process. How do I know if like how help me go through the minds of the guru? What is the admissions process here? Like how competitive is it compared to like getting into Harvard or even the top schools of BAMS? Because it sounds very intimidating. A lot of us foreigners, when I talk about Gurukulam, everybody will be like, "Oh, I don't think I want to join."
What happens that if you talk about the gurukuls, so obviously there is a issue of credibility, there is a issue of authentication as well, because you have to check whether the gurukul is authentic and no is or not. Now, this time in this era, government is providing the certifications to the gurukuls as well and to the gurus as well. So, and if you talk about the BMS colleges in India, and if I know in the other countries as well, they're having a hybrid model and hybrid certifications, things like that, and there's a major difference. And how you can check is you can approach, this is the system, you have to approach the guru, and the guru will choose whether you are able to study or not up to their test, and they will choose you in their gurukul schoolam, and where they will get the formal educations through the gurus. So this is the procedure.
Oh, okay. So basically, they're not just looking at your grade level or your benchmark. They look at your characters. How do you
Yes.
measure up? Because one thing that I caught my attention, especially like with the one of the schools that I was enrolled into called the Global Institute of Health Science, where I Googled them up, they provide certification on health training. But I was like thinking about how would this impact the future of holistic medicine, like integrated integration of geotish in the long run? Like, how would this benefit like health practitioners, corporate leaders, or even like parents, especially parents. Like we're sending our children to school so that way they can become future BAMS doctors, or are we creating real rishis here?
Like To be very honest, in the today's era, if you talk about the BMS colleges or the parents who are thinking about them, they want to make what the hybrid model should be, you should have certain knowledge from the gurukuls. For the authentic certifications, you can approach the BMS colleges. So this needs to be the system. Let's first say I want to have some deeper knowledge about the Dravaguna. So Dravaguna is what is the subject of the herbs. So though you have did the BMS, if you want to know much in the deeper aspect of Dravaguna, you can approach a guru, you can approach the gurukullam, where you will get the more ideas about the Dravaguna subject. Similarly, for the other subject as well, if you talk about the Ayurvedic physiology or the Ayurvedic psychology or maybe the Ayurvedic anatomy, though you did the BMS, BMS is the superficial level of the Ayurvedic sciences. But if you want to go in the deeper aspect, you can approach the gurus who will give you the more idea, more authentic knowledge of the Samhitas, that is the Charak Samhita, Shushu Samhitas, and this is how what I feel that you should approach the learning of Ayurvedic sciences and the Jyotish.
Okay. So how does incorporating Jyotish into, like, for instance, conscious corporate leaders, or even the framework of like conscious parenting, like how would that impact a child development or even helping leaders to develop better business initiatives? Because I know that we talked about this before, but a lot of corporate leaders and parents like they need your advice on this. Like, how would this help with my kid or my business?
Okay, so you mean to ask that how this Ayurveda and the Jyotish can help the parenting in the maybe the business leaders want to develop themselves like that?
Correct, and especially how to use it to lead their teams, because what happens is that because they don't know themselves, they start to like it became a chaotic mess in their workplace.
So look, the Ayurveda and the Jyotish, because if you talk about the Ayurveda, what is Ayurveda? The aim of Ayurveda is the Sastasya Sastrakshanam Aturasya Vikar Prashmanam Cha. So this, by the learning of this science, what you can do, you can be healthy, and let's say if you're disease also, you can manage the disease. So this is the aim of Ayurveda. And if you talk about the Jyotish, Jyotish is what is like is a science which helps you in dealing with the kala, it will help to deal with the karma, it will help you in the consciousness. And this together, this both these sciences can help you to evaluate your prakriti, your condition, your psychology at the time, what you have to approach, what the thing that you should skip. If you talk about the body, the Siddha and the Ayurveda, the concept is made up of the Yat Pinde Tat Brahmane. That means that the constitution of five elements, the dhatus, the malas, this all the doshas, this all forming the health. Someone is healthy, that means all the things are in the equilibrium. And if they are not balanced, it is causing the disease. By knowing the science of Ayurveda and the Jyotish, you can evaluate, you can help to get rid of the disease. So this is the factor, if we are adding the disease part, this is the thing how you can help.
Hmm. Okay. So it sounds like I have to have self-knowledge in order to lead people, right?
Yes.
Hmm. Okay, then. Now it's your turn to start asking me questions. I want to get to because I know you forward me a lot of questions regarding like what do you like what is it about Siddha medicine that I envision?
You are asking me this question?
Well, you were asking me these
Yes, yes. Last time I remember I was asking you about the Siddha medicine. If you talk about the simple terms, how you can describe the Siddha medicine.
well, just like our previous webinar, where Jyotish is about knowing yourself, your karmic body. Ayurveda is a like, how can I be healthy? Siddha is about how can I be enlightened? That's actually to put it very simply for everybody else to understand. And from your one of your questions, you say from my perspective, what is the original vision of Ayurveda, Siddha, and Jyotish is simple. The original vision for all three is how can I fulfill the four aims of life? Is moksha, uh, dharma, dharma, karma, and artha. If you balance all four of these and maximize it for people, then you have done your job as a health system already. That's what matters.
And we talk about Andy, how we can like correlate the Ayurveda and the Siddha, uh, maybe how this is like possible things, how we can use the both the sciences to be healthy.
So just like how I mentioned, like Ayurveda is basically a science where the goal is to balance the doshas, help create well-formed dhatus. One thing that I've learned in yoga tradition, for instance, which is the bridge science, they say that you have what we call the yamas and niyamas. These are the stuff that fulfills your body so that you can have a very strong mind. This is why I advertise that people study Ayush, like the fullness of integrative medicine, which includes Ayurveda, yoga, Siddha, homeopathy, and Chinese medicine. If you include Unani on there, that's okay. But what matters is the reason why you need to get strong on Ayurveda is because you need to have a very healthy body. But then once you get to the point where you need to cultivate your mind so that you no longer dies, that's the one thing that Ayurveda has its limits in which Siddha can kick in. Because Siddha is very good with acute illnesses, but when it comes to chronic illnesses, Ayurveda does a much better job. Because the thing is like Siddha is about how can I get to the point where I will not have to die ever again.
Yes, yes, I totally agree to you. And how do you see that the challenges faced by the Siddha practitioners, maybe in the USA, maybe the China, or maybe the other countries? What are the major challenges that you yourself are feeling, or maybe your colleagues, or maybe the person whom you know? So, what is their point?
Actually, you're gonna be even more surprised. Like in Ayurveda, there's one challenge is that basically the BAMS system. That's actually the biggest challenge that I see first off with Ayurveda. But Siddha medicine, we have three challenges. On top of a BSMS, which is very localized to only Tamil Nadu and only one place in Kerala that taught the BSMS, there's not many people who study Tamil. The problem is like a lot of these texts are written in Tamil. And Tamil, you know that although Siddhars, they originally came from the north of India and they bring it down south. The problem is that there's a there's a lot of different lineages that came out of Siddha, like Chinese medicine. We had to study Tamil, we had to study Sanskrit, and then we brought it back to our old culture. But the problem is that there's a lot of book burning going on. So pretty much like we've some cultures like other than Tibet, we've pretty much lost that knowledge. And so pretty much we have to go back to the original like the original system. And the problem with the current BSMS is not only they taught very similar to how BAMS is, where you have half allopathic and half Siddhar, but there's another problem is you most of the curriculum is very gatekept by several by people who call themselves Siddhars, but they're not actually Siddhars themselves.
Okay. And how do you see like is it required the if you talk about the BSMS, is it required the allopathy incorporations into it, or maybe the integrated way, which is going in? If you talk about India, where we have the integrated method of adding the allopathy and the Siddha, because I have known doctors of Siddha, those who are practicing the allopathy and Siddha together. So how do you see things like that?
Well, I don't mind about for me, one thing is like, can you be able to live like a Siddhar? the question, just like how Ayurveda seeks to create rishis who are very deep in consciousness by learning like how to make your body healthy. A Siddhar is someone who perfects that cycle of life and death to the point where they don't die at all. The problem is that we're creating a curriculum just like the BAMS where you're only taught the technical skills, you're taught how to do pulse reading, but at the end of the day, you're not enlightened beings. Back in the old gurukulams, a lot of rishis, a lot of people, they're not just Vaidyas, acharyas, or even your professors that you call today. These people are called your saints. They call them the manifestation of Shiva. But instead of acting like Shiva, you act like con artists who literally charge a lot of money on people. I ran across some people who are descendants of Siddha medicine practitioners. Instead of like charging maybe $300 in USDs, usually in rupees, that's like about 40,000 rupees. But when they saw a United States person like myself, they charged something like $1,700 US dollars, which is like almost like 1 to 2 lakhs of rupees. And I was like, if I found out that one of my Indian friends can't afford this, how do you think I, as an American, would say yes to this?
Definitely, definitely. How do you see that scope of Siddha globally, the scope of Siddha globally and the other countries you talk about Europe and because the origination is from India and the Asian countries. And how do you see the scope of Siddha and the other countries, the especially talk about the western parts, how do you see the scope of Siddha medicines?
To be honest with you, as a Chinese medicine practitioner who studied acupuncture, and now I go into Ayurveda, where it's now under Nama, which are the same people who came from the BAMS system and they came over here in the United States. And now Siddha, one thing about Siddha is that Siddha right now is at its beginner space here in the United States. There's only a few pockets here's and there's, but there's no unified group on what is considered to be an acceptable curriculum. So we haven't actually had a BSMS system over here yet, which is a good thing. That's why it has a lot of potential in going the right route. But one thing I dread the most is whenever the Indians they came over from India, instead of actually learning from the Gurukulam, just like how BAMS is, we're basically facing the same issue for both Chinese medicine and Siddha medicine, where they came over, they brought their BSMS credential, and then they basically like they make it like as though this is how you're supposed to teach. But thank goodness they're decentralized and that there's a lot of gatekeeping going on. So pretty much like that leaves us a lot of room and potential to make things better. But for BAMS, because they're more globalized, the problem is you're going to have to fight over several governing bodies as a result.
And Andy, how do you see, let's say, if a very young Siddha practitioner has been stuck and is not getting a direction now, how he should or maybe she should approach. So for them, what will be your message, uh, guiding
Simple,
them?
simple. Ask yourself, what is your dharma? What is your calling? What keeps you up at night? There's an old saying, even in Siddha medicine, if something does not keep you up at night and does not make you angry, then that means it's not motivating you enough. Hardship in life brings that purpose to you. Take that like medicine. But then there's another side is that you have to understand what enemy are you attacking? What are you trying to solve in terms of problems? What is it that you look for in your clients? If you can identify where your clients like their anger, their worries, their fears, and you can be able to sympathize with them and solve their problems and grow with them, you've already made yourself a successful career.
I totally agree to you. And the how do you say this modern challenges, let's say this artificial intelligence, is now is at its peak. People are whatever they are using, They are using the AI. If you talk about the doctors also, Siddhar doctors, allopathy doctors, even though Ayurvedic doctors as well, everyone is using AI. And how do you see the danger for upcoming the practitioner of Siddha Ayurveda? How do you see the challenges?
Well, there's actually three challenges. Number one is that a lot of Ayurvedic doctors, because they're taught to be technicians in the BAMS system, where they're just only like go through what we call a one size fit all, you're at risk for being replaced by an AI because an AI can easily be trained on different scenarios in order to replace you. I play with ChatGPT and AIs all the time. They learn my Siddha behaviors very quickly. It only takes a couple seconds. But there's another thing that I recommended it up. It also shows an opportunity where humans, we can understand people through emotional intelligence, through connecting to God. If you don't bring that as a marketable skill, you will be replaced. And that's the opportunity for people to really make Ayurveda and Siddha to stand out. What you put out to AI, you will get back. And the thing is like AIs are your creation. You created that AI, you created that consciousness. You can make it work towards your own favor.
Yes, I agree to you, and definitely is a challenge for this upcoming doctors, upcoming practitioners. But yes, obviously there is a hope to counter it and to create the significant uh, able practices. So yes,
Yep. The key is that you have to connect to your like doctors. One thing that a pulse reading like ChatGPT can't read your pulse. ChatGPT can't read your soul. They cannot access you to higher consciousness. Only a human do that because it takes emotional intelligence. ChatGPT, on the other hand, they can provide you backup knowledge. They can quiz you. They can test you knowledge. It can also do this, but at the end of the day, it does not test for emotional intelligence. That's why I advocate that we should go back to the gurukullam where we're like instead of doing what we called multiple choice tests and all that shebangs, as a Siddha practitioner, I want you guys to go back to oral exams. You got to ask your students, probe them, counter their examples, give reasons why their answer is wrong. Can they build a counter argument? That's how you build scholars like Nagarjuna, who is an Ayurvedic scholar in India in the old days. If you can't make that, I'm sorry, you're not making Nagarjuna or even Arjuna. You're just making a regular Jack. That's what it is.
absolutely right, and this is what the Gurukulam differs from this. Uh, what to say is just like the other colleges and upcoming the schools. So that is the difference, where in the Gurukulam, you get emotional intelligence, and how you can connect human to human. That is what the difference is all about between AI and
Hmm. Well, I guess we're almost about time with our webinar, but since we actually touch upon the Gurukulam, one thing that we can do for our next webinar is to talk about the solutions, the potential futures and solutions on how do we teach to BAMS students and to teachers. Because one thing that I've been fascinated about is like, what is an oral exam? How do I know if I'm passing as a student? When do I get to the next level? And is there a grade point system in the Gurukulam? Because that's something that I've been pretty fascinated by. Is like in a Gurukulam in both Siddha tradition and Ayurveda, we have one thing in common is that our gurus they grade us very harshly. And if you think that you can pass with just a multiple choice exam, I'll tell you straight up, we're both gonna fail you badly.
no, yes, yes, definitely we can have that as well, so that people can know the deeper aspects about it, and definitely it will make the sense.
Well, I guess we can start ending with a prayer so that way our audience can have something to digest on. So, if anybody who wants to get in touch with Dr. Shantanu or myself, feel free to subscribe to our channel. Like mine is called the House of Huangdi, and yours is Dr. Shantanu is, I believe, is what is the name of it again?
Sorry.
The name of your YouTube channel, so that way people will know where to find you.
Is Dev Lekhaka. You can touch to that. Dev Lekhaka is the name where you will get my videos and information about me.
Okay.
So we will close this session with the shloka of Gita, that is the immense knowledge. So we will chant that shloka. So एवं सरत युक्ता ये भक्तास्तां परि उपासते ये चापना सर्वव्यक्तम तेषामेव न मिक्तम भवानीमच था मय्या वेद चेतसाम मय्येव मनादस्स मयि बुद्धिं निवेशस्य स मय्येव अथ कुरुतं न संशय अथ कुरुतं समाधातु नाशिप नोशिम स्थित ओम नमः शिवाय हैव अ नाइस डे
You too.